Will we ever see John Jones versus Alex? Yeah.
Possibility. I mean, Rogan is pushing me right now to try to make that fight. It's just, guys, John Jones is a whole nother. I consider John Jones the greatest combat fighter of all time. John Jones is the nastiest dude ever in the history. And John's got a dark side to him, man. He shoots guns. John Jones is a killer.
The big money fight is Alex and John Jones at the White House. Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Catch weight. Make it 225. You don't have to be for a title. Make it the bad month upper edition. You know, you have the BMF belt for 155ers. Who's the real BMF?
Yeah.
You know, do you think one of those guys could beat Alex Pereira? You think you get a 155 pounder in there against Alex Pereira? Does Max Holloway survive against Alex Pereira? No, shut the fuck up. John Jones, Alex Pereira fight will probably be the biggest fight in human history. You got the greatest of all time in John Jones, and arguably the most destructive striker that's ever competed.
Yeah.
No one's like that guy. All the time.
Why not fight against Pereira, a guy who's the same age as you, and we walk around the same exact size? Right now, I had to eat a big breakfast because I'm getting underneath like 235. Pereira walks around at like 240, and he has magnificent accolades. Business-wise, it makes more sense. I'm gonna call him this, fight the nobody that may be more dangerous, or fight the guy with all the accolades who's incredibly dangerous, but it actually will affect your legacy. Where when you look back and it's like, John just beat Alex Pereira, it's bigger. It's just much bigger. And anybody who can't understand that logic simply doesn't want to.
All right, Sunday morning, leaving Las Vegas. Freedom 250 was announced last night at the White House, going down in June. So we're going to talk about this. I honestly thought we were going to see John Jones versus Alex Pereira, more than likely in the main event. Of course, that's not the main event. That is Justin Gaethje taking on Ilia Topuria for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world, which is a great fight, which is the fight that should happen because obviously meritocracy, and they've got an interim champion. There was people saying that maybe Charles Oliveira or...
When the Freedom 250 announcement dropped from the White House, the anticipation was through the roof. You could practically feel the electricity in the air. But almost instantly, fight fans everywhere were hit with the same massive question that nobody saw coming. Where the hell is Jones versus Pereira?
Stopped Max Holloway, didn't put him to sleep per se, but certainly a TKO. So that wouldn't have made sense anyway. Now, I did think John Jones, the greatest of all time, according to a lot of people, and yeah, probably is. Obviously, many asterisks to his name. I thought he'd be fighting Alex Pereira because Alex Pereira vacated the belt. Yuri versus Carlos Ulberg is going down in Miami. That's a great fight. I'm very happy for Yuri Prochazka and for Carlos Ulberg.
The disappointment was immediate and visceral. Here we had two absolute legends at the peak of their powers, and after Pereira's shocking jump to heavyweight that had the entire MMA world buzzing, this seemed like destiny. The White House venue screams premium main event material, the kind of stage reserved for the biggest fights imaginable. So when the heavyweight King Jones was nowhere to be found on such a monumental patriotic showcase, especially with Pereira sitting right there as a potential triple champion, fans felt genuinely betrayed. This isn't just disappointment, this is pure frustration boiling over, and it explains exactly why Dana White is getting roasted by the community right now. Sure, the lightweight title fight they did book is fantastic, but when you're missing the dream matchup everyone's been salivating over, it stings.
He is fighting for the interim strap against Alex Pereira, which is very impressive because Alex Pereira will be the first person to ever compete for 3 different titles. 3 different weight classes, which is just, it is insane. I mean, the success that this guy's had is phenomenal. And we're going to talk about this matchup. So Cyril Gane versus Gane, pardon me. Cyril Gane versus, I've got to adjust my contact lens because sometimes everything goes a bit blurry and I can't see shit. There we go. Yeah, so Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira, 2 great strikers. And I'll say this, it's a better fight than John Jones versus Alex Pereira.
This speaks to something deeper about Jones, widely considered the GOAT, and the sky-high expectations surrounding a potential Pereira showdown. The timing felt absolutely perfect in every way. Pereira had just given up his light heavyweight crown to make this massive leap up a division, and honestly, the universe seemed to align for what could have been the most epic super fight in recent memory. Watching that opportunity evaporate, especially on a card with the incredible prestige of a White House event, feels like witnessing history slip away. Yes, there are other incredible battles on this card that deserve respect, but the Jones-Pereira dynamic was something genuinely magical. We're looking at a 2-division legend potentially squaring off against someone chasing 3-division immortality. This is exactly the kind of once-in-a-generation collision that built the UFC's reputation, and its absence absolutely feeds into this narrative of widespread fan anger toward the decision makers.
And I'll explain why, right? Of course, magnitude, star power, legendary names, resumes. Yeah, that's what Jon Jones brings. Also what Alex Pereira brings, to be fair. But I've said this a million times, so this won't be a shock. There would have been a really good chance that Jon Jones would have just taken down Alex Pereira. Pardon me, it's early. I've only had a few hours sleep. But yeah, Jones would have probably taken down Pereira. Wouldn't have been easy, right? Magomed Ankalaev has tried to do that. Other people have tried to do that. Jan Blachowicz tried to do that. But this is Jon Jones we're talking about. Look at what...
Here's where things get interesting though, and maybe this reveals the chess move Dana White actually made behind the scenes. While the entire planet was screaming for Jones versus Pereira, and that hunger was absolutely real, the truth is Pereira challenging for a third belt against Gane represents something we've literally never seen before. 3 weight classes. That's a testament to Pereira's insane evolution as a combat athlete and his ridiculous skill level. There's even an argument to be made, and it's compelling, that stylistically this delivers better pure striking fireworks for entertainment value, which throws a wrench into the whole exclusion controversy. Maybe while we're not getting the super fight everyone demanded, we're actually getting something more explosive and action-packed instead. That could be exactly what Dana White had in mind for such a globally televised spectacle.
Even Tom Aspinall couldn't take down Cyril Gane, but John could, right? So that's just something to think about. John would have probably taken Pereira down and finished him by a ground and pound, you know, just choked him out, whatever, and it could have been a quick performance. Now, the matchup we have now for the interim heavyweight strap, Pereira versus Cyril Gane, this is completely different.
This breakdown of why Gane versus Pereira might actually outperform Jones versus Pereira in terms of pure entertainment is something we need to seriously consider. Look, this isn't about star power or drawing ability, because Jones obviously brings massive eyeballs to any event, but when you really analyze the styles, a wrestling heavy performance from Jones, while probably effective and likely victorious, might not create the same explosive moments that fans desperately want on a high profile showcase like this. This viewpoint tries to justify Dana White's choice from a completely different angle. It suggests the exclusion wasn't some random mistake or oversight, but a calculated decision aimed at maximum entertainment for the widest possible audience. It flips the disappointment on its head, arguing that what we sacrificed in pure star power, we gained back in guaranteed action and striking wars that might actually satisfy some of those frustrated fans.
It's going to be a kickboxing match in 4-ounce gloves. And then when you look at the matchup, on one side you've got Pereira, who's got insane power, who was the middleweight champion, the light heavyweight champion, and now potentially heavyweight champion. Again, legendary stuff. The power will travel. He had knockout power at 185. 205 he will, and at heavyweight he's still going to pack the same amount of punch. Granted, you're fighting bigger people, you're striking bigger people with bigger necks and bigger jaws and just generally heavy, so they'll be able to absorb the blows better, but he's still going to crack a punch, man. Simple as.
The reality about Jones's wrestling dominance gets hammered home here, and the very real possibility that he dismantles Pereira quickly and efficiently, because that's simply what he does best. Look at how he dominated Gane, a fighter that even the dangerous Tom Aspinall couldn't completely overwhelm. This comparison creates a vivid picture of what Jones versus Pereira might actually look like, potentially ending fast, possibly in round 1 on the mat with Jones controlling everything, completely robbing us of that epic stand-up war we all fantasized about. Meanwhile, the Gane versus Pereira interim title clash gets positioned as a guaranteed kickboxing clinic in 4-ounce gloves, which makes every exchange potentially explosive. This comparison strengthens the argument that the UFC deliberately chose sustained striking excellence over what might have been a one-sided grappling showcase, even if it meant excluding the more hyped matchup everyone was discussing.
Or quite as slick as Cyril Gane, although I'm not saying he's not slick, I'm not saying he's not smooth, I'm not saying he hasn't got great combinations, because he does. He's a brilliant world-class kickboxer. But on the other side, you've got Cyril Gane, who's very, very light on the feet, very bouncy, very floaty. He kind of glides around the octagon and extremely fast for the heavyweight division. I don't think either guy is going to go for a takedown. If it does go down to the ground, it'll be after one of them gets knocked down. Shut up with the announcements, please. I'm trying to do a YouTube video like an absolute bellend walking through an airport and everyone's looking. It's full of UFC fans because UFC 326 was last night.
This technical analysis of Pereira's devastating knockout power and how it transfers across weight divisions is crucial to understanding why the Gane matchup is so appealing to both hardcore and casual fans alike, and probably explains Dana White's selection for the White House card. Pereira's proven ability to crack opponents at heavyweight despite facing naturally bigger and more durable opponents guarantees a high-stakes striking battle that could end any second. This strategic emphasis on guaranteed spectacle rather than potentially tactical, less fan-friendly grappling that might not create highlight reel moments actually serves as a solid defense of the UFC's matchmaking philosophy and indirectly addresses the criticism about excluding the Jones fight. When you break it down, it's about delivering entertainment, and Pereira's power combined with Gane's skills absolutely ensures that happens.
Anyway, yeah, if it goes to the ground, it's because one of them knocks each other down and then they go to finish it. So this is going to be a fantastic striking affair in the co-main event at the White House, Freedom 250, right? So give me your thoughts on that one. Who do you think wins this fight? It seems like I'm always going against Alex Pereira, but I kind of think it might be Cyril Gane. I think Cyril Gane might get it, right? But regardless, whether it's Cyril or it's Alex, whoever wins this will be the interim heavyweight champion of the world. And this is a crazy situation for Tom Aspinall because
the stylistic contrasts get explored even deeper here, really emphasizing Gane's remarkable agility and speed for someone competing at heavyweight, where most guys are typically plodding. This detailed analysis reinforces the argument that Gane versus Pereira represents a truly fascinating stylistic puzzle that should excite fans. Both are elite strikers at the highest level, but in completely different ways, which promises a dynamic and genuinely unpredictable stand-up chess match. For a White House card designed as a grand showcase of American combat sports, a pure kickboxing battle like this is probably more accessible and frankly more thrilling for a mainstream audience, including casual viewers, than watching a potential grappling masterclass. This attention to stylistic matchmaking explains why the UFC might strategically prioritize this pairing over the Jones versus Pereira fight, believing it's a superior entertainment product that will create more memorable moments, hopefully reducing fan backlash.
he was the interim champion and couldn't get a shot at the undisputed. Hello, she's looking at me with a smirk. Couldn't get a shot at the undisputed with John Jones because he wasn't playing games. He had a fight booked against Stipe Miocic, but then Jones certainly was playing games. You know, after the Curtis Blades matchup, we didn't know what he was doing. Now we don't know what's happening with Tom, right? I assume their eyes are going to be good to go very, very soon, right? Otherwise, Eddie Hearn isn't going to sign a fighter that can't fight, right? So I'm assuming any day now they're going to come out, start negotiating with the UFC and say, listen, he's good to go. He's fine. He's healed. He's ready. He wants to get back in.
Things get completely scrambled here. The analysis wraps up with a confident prediction before immediately pivoting to Tom Aspinall's incredibly complicated situation, which creates its own drama. This shift illuminates the complex web of heavyweight division politics that directly created the Gane Pereira interim title fight in the first place. Aspinall's frustrating position as interim champion, unable to secure a legitimate undisputed title shot, stems directly from previous UFC decisions and fighter availability issues, including Jones's own choices and scheduling. This ripple effect throughout the heavyweight division complicates our entire narrative. It shows that while fans want to blame Dana White for excluding Jones versus Pereira, reality is usually far messier, involving injuries, fighter readiness, and strategic matchmaking that accounts for multiple moving pieces. It's rarely just a simple mistake or someone dropping the ball.
And I thought a rematch with Cyril Gane would have been the immediate matchup, but if he beats Alex Pereira, it certainly will be the immediate matchup. But this time it'll be for an interim belt versus an undisputed belt, which makes the fight even bigger. As I said on another video the other day, it all depends on these contractual negotiations. Eddie Hearn came out and was kind of shitting on Tom's contract and saying that he doesn't get paid what he should get paid. If Eddie's going to try and change that contract, and you know, that is what a good manager does, to be fair, and you want the best management team on your side. You certainly don't want an amateur, you don't want a chump, you don't want someone that doesn't know what they're doing. But if he tries to push the goalposts far too far...
This segment provides crucial context we need to understand. Aspinall, who earned interim champion status, was previously denied an undisputed shot explicitly because Jones was playing games with negotiations and insisted on fighting Stipe Miocic instead. This historical pattern adds serious weight to the current situation. If Jones was creating complications then, his current absence from the White House card and the subsequent exclusion of Pereira feels less like a deliberate UFC snub and more like a continuation of Jones's own career management decisions. It suggests Dana White might be navigating a difficult fighter landscape with complicated personalities, and that all the hatred directed at him for not booking Jones versus Pereira might be completely misdirected considering Jones's past behavior and present circumstances.
UFC aren't going to agree to that, and there might be some kind of stalling, and we might have Tom Aspinall sitting on the sidelines for a while. I hope that doesn't happen, and I hope if he is able to renegotiate, I hope he gets a killer deal, because he deserves it, right? Tom's a freak of nature, he's an incredible athlete, but he's got to come back, and it looks like he's going to be fighting Alex Pereira or Cyril Gane.
And should he win the fight, then we figure out what's going on with Tom Aspinall, and it could be him versus Aspinall.
Now, other fights on the card. Steve Garcia versus Diego Lopez. I forgot to mention that one on my 326 preview yesterday. That's an insane fight. Of course, Diego Lopez.
The discussion about Eddie Hearn's involvement and potential contractual battles surrounding Aspinall reveals how this business really operates, pulling back the curtain on aspects fans don't always see. Fighter availability isn't just about health or willingness to compete, but heavily involves complex financial negotiations and compensation demands. This directly relates to our exclusion theme. Sometimes fights don't happen not because Dana White dislikes a matchup, but because of incredibly complex behind-the-scenes financial and contractual issues. If Aspinall's team is being difficult or demanding too much, it can sideline top talent, similar to how Jones's own contract situations have periodically kept him inactive, contributing to situations like the exclusion of the Jones-Pereira fight fans desperately wanted.
Knocked out Jean Silva, and what else did he do? Oh, I mean, listen, he's just must-see TV. And then on the other side, Steve Garcia hasn't got the same kind of brand value as Diego Lopez, but holy shit, man, he's on, I think, an 8-fight win streak, and they're all stoppages, most of them in the first round. I think one of them got to the second round. And you gotta love Steve Garcia. He's a nasty guy. So that'll be the first fight on the card. I didn't see this one coming. Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dorcas. I didn't expect that one, but it'll be a good fight. Dorcas, he's on a 2-fight win streak. Bo Nickel, of course, represents...
The potential for serious delays due to contractual disagreements highlighted here represents a harsh reality in elite professional sports. It emphasizes that even the most skilled fighters like Aspinall can be benched for reasons completely unrelated to their cage performance. This is essential when considering the exclusion of Jones versus Pereira. It suggests that such high-profile super fights are incredibly complex to orchestrate, involving delicate negotiations that can easily derail or completely prevent fights. The focus then shifts to other exciting matchups on the card, showing that despite all these behind-the-scenes complications, the UFC still delivers a stacked quality event even without the absolute dream fight everyone wanted.
Michael Chandler. How about this for Michael Chandler? Fair play, right? Obviously there was talk of Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler competing on that card. Dana said, nah, we ain't interested in that anymore. but it turns out it was the Conor McGregor side. Now, Conor came out and he was doing an interview with Chael Sonnen, and he brought up some good points. He said, listen, it's going to be a sellout with my name involved regardless. It's going to do blockbuster numbers.
You know, like a double sale thing. That's the White House was going to hit no matter what.
And he's absolutely right. When Conor comes back, it's going to be insane, right? And that's just the facts of the matter. So they don't need to put him on the White House card. And he said, they don't put me on 300.
The genuine excitement for fights like Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia and Bontecal versus Kyle Daukaus really showcases the depth of the Freedom 250 card beyond just the marquee events getting all the headlines. This provides an important counter-narrative to the idea that Dana White deserves criticism for excluding one fight, even a massive one. While Jones versus Pereira would have been absolutely huge, the UFC still loaded this card with incredibly exciting high-stakes battles throughout that promised fireworks. The emphasis on rising stars and fan-favorite brawlers demonstrates the organization's commitment to entertainment at every level, not just the main events. It proves that even without one specific super fight, the event remains absolutely essential viewing for both hardcore and casual audiences.
Retired, that'll be it. We'll never see him again. If it is, it's kind of an unceremonious way to go out. I remember when I retired, I wasn't happy with the way that it ended because I wanted to retire in the Octagon after a fight, win or lose. I wanted to thank the crowd. That's why I was going to take one more fight. I was actually in negotiations to fight Rashad Evans at the O2 Arena in London because I romanticized this idea of thanking the crowd and all this type of stuff and putting the gloves down and going through that whole thing. And my manager, Odiatara, was like, Mike, you're romanticizing this in your mind for this big moment, but what you're doing is you're putting your vision.
The conversation around McGregor and Chandler not appearing on this card, with McGregor's own reasoning, provides another fascinating angle to this exclusion narrative. McGregor makes a compelling point about his unique position. His star power is so massive that he doesn't need a specific card like the White House event to be successful. He can headline literally any show and turn it into an instant blockbuster. This shows that some exclusions aren't signs of disrespect, but strategic decisions based on a fighter's distinctive marketability. It suggests Dana White isn't avoiding big matchups, but strategically deploying his biggest assets where they can maximize impact across multiple events, rather than concentrating everything on one already hyped show.
Risk. Because obviously I had one eye and I was starting to have problems with the one eye. That's why I've got to adjust my contact lenses because I'm going bloody blind. And he was absolutely right. And for Jon Jones to go out like this after all these negotiations, these back and forths, and just kind of embroiled in what he is, like, it is a bit of a shame. Also a shame that apparently he needs hip surgery. He was talking about, you know, being riddled with arthritis, got caught on camera. Dana mentioned that again at the press conference.
Is it fair to say then Jon Jones is retired and this is the end of his time?
This becomes an emotional reflection on Jones' potential retirement and how it might end somewhat quietly, drawing parallels to the speaker's own experience with career endings. The emotional weight of a legend not getting a proper Octagon farewell is heavy and real. For Jones, with his incredible legacy, to simply fade away due to health problems and contract negotiations, rather than going out in a grand final battle like a super fight against Pereira, would be genuinely tragic for the sport and MMA history. This perspective shifts blame away from Dana White and onto the harsh realities of a fighter's body breaking down and the complexities of negotiating a final chapter in a legendary career. It adds empathy and understanding to Jones's absence from such a significant event. The revelation of Jones's serious health problems, including hip surgery and arthritis, provides the ultimate explanation for his absence from the White House card and the exclusion of the Pereira fight everyone wanted. This information, confirmed by Dana White himself, completely transforms the narrative. It's no longer about strategic snubs or contractual disputes, but about a fighter's physical well-being. While fan disappointment is understandable, truly grasping the severity of his condition paints a clear picture of why a Pereira fight, or any fight currently, isn't possible. This revelation effectively destroys the Dana White hatred premise by providing a completely human and unarguable reason for the most significant exclusion on this card.